Welcome back everyone to another video, and today I wanted to look at the Age of Empires 2 Civilisations and talk through what civilizations I thought might be quite strong and perhaps ones that are less strong for the new game mode Empire Wars. And so just as a lot of people do, I've done a tier list, have a look through some of these civilizations. I mean, it all is quite dependent on the context of the games, the maps, the civ matchups as well, so it can be a bit tricky sometimes to develop tier lists like this. But, you know, you do have to kind of change them around depending on the situation as well. As a general thing, I put the Aztecs, Mayans, the Chinese and Vikings in the S tier. Starting off with the Aztecs, we saw the Aztecs as well as other Mesocivs being picked a lot in Red Bull Wololo 4, and there's a reason for that. They're absolutely great. You can go for a super fast Eagle Rush, especially because you've got the barracks already built from the get-go. Aztecs are a strong civ anyway, but it really lends itself well to the Empire Wars format. And it's also really nice to follow up an Eagle Rush with a monk siege push. Next up we have the Mayans, who also have access to the Eagle units as well as a strong archer opening, with their archers being cheaper and their resources of course lasting longer. You won't start with the extra villager that they normally do in other game modes, but with so many other bonuses like 50% cheaper walls and progressively cheaper archers, I think this is likely to remain a strong civilization in Empire Wars. Next up we've got the Chinese. Now of course they've been a top tier civ on a lot of maps recently, in particular Arabia, and it feels like they should be pretty strong in Empire Wars too. We did see them picked a lot in Red Bull Wololo 4 as well. Of course their economic upgrades are already cheaper and their farms have extra food. It has to be said though, of course they don't benefit from the extra villagers that they used to in other game modes, but nevertheless, they look like a very strong civ on Empire Wars. Now the last civilization that I put in the S tier are the Vikings. Wheelbarrow, 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 handcart, handcart, handcart. This is such a huge boost to their economy, and not only is this something that you get for free, it's something that you often usually have to delay in Empire Wars because of how fast paced it is. But not only do you get it for free, you actually save idling your TCE from making villagers in order to research it. So your opponent, in order to be on the same level as you, they have to not only pay for wheelbarrow and handcart, but they have to idle their TC from making villagers to do it. And this can give your economy such a huge boost over your opponents. Moving on to the A tier, we've got the Berbers, the Britons, Ethiopians, Franks, Magyars, Tatars and Saracens. Kicking things off with the Berbers, Berbers look like they'll be a great civ for Empire Wars. They're one of the civs that have their power spike in Castle Age with their cheaper stable units. Because in Empire Wars you can sometimes get to Castle Age super fast, the Berbers boost really takes effect in Castle Age. You'll have access to cheaper stable units in Castle Age, and with a castle, you will get camel archers, which are a natural counter to several other units your opponent may be going for. The Britons are a great civilization on Empire Wars. You start off with your sheep right underneath your TC in this game mode, and so from the get-go your faster working shepherds are working hard to really boost your food income. Also, if you're going for archer rangers, of course they have the fastest producing archer rangers in the game. Britons can be a really nice civ for early aggression with an archer rush, especially on open maps, but if you want to turtle behind walls for a bit, Britons are also a great civilization for doing that. All in all, a really solid civilization, especially on Empire Wars. Over to the Ethiopians, another great archer civilization. However, you don't get that nice boost of food and gold that you normally do in other game modes when you age up between Dark Age and Feudal Age, because of course Dark Age is totally missed out on Empire Wars. Faster firing archers are a great bonus for this civilization, and it can be difficult to match at times. Pound for pound, Ethiopians arguably have one of the best, if not the best, archers in the game. The Franks are generally a very popular civilization, and for good reason. They've got a very solid scout rush, as well as great economic bonuses. They've got free horse collar and faster berry pickers, not to mention their scouts are stronger, letting them have a very powerful scout rush. The Frank civilization have always been very strong, and I think in Empire Wars that's probably not going to change. The Magyars of course really pack a punch with their scout rush. With free forging and their scouts being cheaper, means you can really cause problems for your opponents. For a long time it's been considered that the Magyars aren't competitive without an eco bonus. Well, we're skipping Dark Age in Empire Wars, and so being without an eco bonus affects things just a little bit less than perhaps it used to. The Tatars are of course a strong civilization, and they continue to benefit from extra food from sheep, and in particular in Empire Wars there are a lot of maps like Eruption and Mountain Range with lots of hills to take advantage of that extra bonus attack that Tatars get just by being on the hill. And last but not least for this tier, the Saracens. They seem like quite an underrated civ at times, and using the market and Empire Wars can really give you a competitive edge to get a super fast castle age time. Not to mention, they can give you a decent counter to some cav civs, and they don't do so badly on hybrid maps either, with their galleys attacking 25% faster. Looking at the B tier civilizations, I've got down the Bulgarians, Byzantines, Incas, Khmer, Mayans, Italians, Vietnamese and Turks. Kicking off with the Bulgarians, the cheaper blacksmith upgrades are still very helpful as you'd expect in Empire Wars, and with the free upgrades to the militia line, this could really come in useful against the players going for the eagle rushes with Aztecs, Mayans and Incas. Byzantines. Greenland, Greenland, Greenland. Frigid Lake, Frigid Lake, Frigid Lake. Byzantines could be great for these maps. With getting stronger towers and fast attacking fireships, you can really put your opponent in trouble by getting map control of the shorefish and waters on these maps. The Incas. Although perhaps not as strong as the Aztecs and Mayans, you can still play a very strong Eagles opening with this civilization. Also, I think something that's really overlooked is their bonus of their houses supporting 10 population each. This actually sticks with them even at the start of the Empire Wars, where in Empire Wars you start off with 6 pre-built houses and the TC, which gives the Incas a population space of 65 to start off with, whilst other civilizations only have a starting population of 35. Now, unfortunately they do seem to be missing the extra llama that you usually get in other game modes. The benefit of this extra population space is right off the bat you can really start spamming those eagles from the barracks. Next up is Khmer. Quite unique and good for some maps like Frigid Lake, where hiding in houses can be very useful. As well as not needing drop-off points for farms, it means that the fact that you can't really farm directly around your TC in maps like Frigid Lake, it hurts you a lot less. The Malians have quite a nice tech tree, and with cheaper buildings, your openings to the games can be quite strong. Gold mining for free means you can really get that gold count rising. I would say though, the Empire Wars format does eat into their bonuses a bit. With so many buildings already being placed at the beginning of the game, it means the Malians haven't taken advantage of their bonuses for those buildings already built, and your opponent has them built already as well. Going forward though, it's still a strong bonus to have. Italians. I wonder whether Italians could be a bit of a dark horse in the Empire Wars format. With Castle Age costing less, going up could be potentially super fast with the Italians. And of course, the Civ lends itself well to water maps. I feel with the Italians, they will be strong, especially on hybrid maps and water maps in Empire Wars, but less so on land ones. Nothing new here, I think we've felt this way with the Italians for quite a while. The Vietnamese. The eco bonuses could be quite nice in Empire Wars, and with a strong archer civ, they could lend themselves well to archer rush openings, and we're seeing that a lot more in Empire Wars. Looking at the Turks, they can offer a strong scout rush opening, and progressing through the ages, the free upgrades to the scout line could really help you in your army composition. I didn't think there was enough there to give it an A tier listing, so it's sitting here in the B tier. Moving on to the C tier civs, we've got the Huns, Japanese, Koreans, Mongols, Persians, Portuguese, Slavs and Teutons. The Huns, you're probably going to have a scouts opening which can be pretty strong. For the Japanese, they can be quite versatile, but I find that the Empire Wars format kind of hurts their bonuses a little bit. You already start with 3 lumber camps and the mining camp, so you don't really get to benefit from the Japanese bonuses as you once used to. The Koreans, starting with the armor upgrade is quite nice, but with the stone miners working 20% faster, it's going to be a long while before you can make use of that really, especially with early aggression being pretty strong in Empire Wars. It certainly looks like it will be quite tricky for them to mass up castles and war wagons without a large fight beforehand. But of course with the Koreans, they are more than just war wagons, but I'm not sure there's enough when comparing them to other civilizations to place them any higher than the C tier. The Mongols could be quite strong in Empire Wars, but their hunting bonuses don't really have that much of an impact without having the boars in Empire Wars. The Persians, just like with other civs, they don't get that little boost in resources that they used to. They will still of course have their faster working TC bonus right off the bat in Empire Wars, which could be quite useful. Portuguese could be an interesting civ on water maps and hybrid maps in particular. We've then got the Slavs that do have the farming bonuses, but with Empire Wars showing itself to be quite heavy on feudal aggression, they might struggle compared to the other civilizations. With Teutons, with the cheaper farms, could be helpful for a booming strategy on Empire Wars, but I place them in the C tier because they don't seem to have that much in the way of early aggression that other civs do. Next up, we're taking a look at the D tier civs. We've got the Malay, Cumans, Celts, Burmese, Indians, Goths, Lithuanians, and the Spanish. Looking at the Malay civilization, their bonuses of aging up faster is kind of eaten into a little bit because of the missing Dark Age. Of course, you can still benefit from this by going up to Castle Age quicker, but with only access to the first armor upgrade for their cavalry units, they're a little bit limited in what they can achieve. The Cumans was a bit of a difficult one. I think we might need some time to think about what we can use the Cumans for in Empire Wars. Having the second TC in Feudal Age might offer some protection. I'd definitely like to keep an eye on this one. Taking a look at the Celts, I feel like they may struggle a little bit in Empire Wars. With Empire Wars being such a fast-paced game mode, I'm not sure that the infantry and siege focus lends itself well to the early aggression that's probably expected. The Lumberjacks working faster though certainly is going to be a very nice bonus, so they perhaps are on the higher scale of the D tier civilizations. The Burmese, I'm not sure that they pack much of a punch with this Empire Wars format, at least not as much as the other civs placed above it. It's quite nice to have that wood upgrade for free, but I think this comes into less effect in Empire Wars as almost in all cases and build orders, you're probably going to be able to afford double bid axe right off the bat. The Indians could be quite useful for going up against cavalry civilizations. However, because of the missing Dark Age, you don't get to benefit from their cheaper villages as much as you used to in other game formats. It also looks like they'd really struggle against some, if not all, of the S tier civs. The Goths, I'm not sure how much they'll be used in Empire Wars, but they could actually be pretty good at defending against the Eagle Rush. The Lithuanians, unfortunately they don't get that 150 food that they used to in other game modes, and so it's really the relics you'll be after. But comparing them to the other civs, I'm not sure they have that much of a competitive edge in Empire Wars. The Spanish could be an interesting one. Of course, they will build their buildings faster, but again, I think comparing them to the other civilizations, I'm not sure they're going to be that useful on Empire Wars. But let's see what happens. I know what you guys are thinking. I've missed out the Sicilians and Burgundians. Talking about those two civilizations in particular, I think the Sicilians could be quite strong. I'd probably put them on the A tier civ list because of that minus 50% bonus damage that they receive. And I think that gives them a good scout rush. The Burgundians, probably a B tier civ. Having access to the eco upgrades an age earlier, it's kind of undone by the Empire Wars format because you skip Dark Age. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. Do let me know what you think about the tier lists that I've given. Of course, lots of the civs could move around depending on the scenario, the map, and the civ matchup. Now, if you're interested in some build orders for Empire Wars, do check out the right end card screen there. That'll take you to a playlist of Empire Wars build orders. On the left there, you can see an Eagle Rush build order. Take care, guys, and see you on the next video.